Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to deal with self-doubt and staying motivated when you are self-employed. Continuing on with the topics that I've been requested through my direct message on Instagram. This one is really special to me because I've now been self-employed for just under 5 years and it is the best thing I've ever done. However, it does come with pros and cons, and I'm going to discuss them with you today. How to help you if you're thinking about going self-employed or if you are already self-employed. And everything that I'm going to give to you and say to you today is completely from self-experience. I've never attended a business course and I kind of have just fallen into everything that I've achieved so far by just working hard, planning, going out for what I want, and obviously having a good reason behind the things that I'm doing. So I've written down a few questions to ask myself to be able to help to answer kind of everything that's important here. If I can figure out how to do this, I'm gonna put in time sections to this question so you can skip to that part of the video if you wanna do that, or you can just listen to all of it. So I've written down here 10 areas that should be discussed that hopefully will help answer all of your questions. 1, why are you doing this? 2, what are the pros and cons of being self-employed? 3, how to organize your finances, which will eliminate self-doubt. 4, how do you know your self-worth and how do you believe in it? 5, becoming cutthroat in business. 6, examples of where I've been too nice and this has fucked me over. 7, accepting my failures. 8, helpful business tips. 9, motivation and how to keep motivated. And 10, planning and goal setting. 1, why are you doing this? There are so many reasons that I decided to go self-employed, mainly because I don't want to work for somebody else. It just doesn't suit me. I like to be in control of what's going on, and I also like to know that I'm receiving maximum reward for all the effort that I'm putting in. When I was younger, I worked so many different jobs and I always gave 100% of myself and achieved so many things, but this only went as far as earning £6 or £7 an hour, and that really is all it was ever going to be, because I've always liked a job where I'm not sitting down, so that meant bar staff or waitress or things like that. They were so much fun, and you know, if you could have had a full career and a really high paying job out of being a bar girl, I always used to say to my mum, I probably would have done that. If you're giving yourself and you're doing all of these hours and then you walk away at the end of a shift and you've only got about £80 or something, you can't live on that. So one thing is to receive maximum reward out of all of my efforts. Second thing is, it is the most beautiful thing when your passion turns into your career. So obviously I have always loved gymnastics, I have always loved teaching people. It has been such a joy that every day that I've woken up, I've been excited to go to work. I've never woken up and thought, oh, I don't want to go to work today. I've probably had only 2 sick days in my whole time. One, I was basically couldn't get out of bed because I had seafood poisoning, and the other time I think I couldn't leave the toilet for a different reason. And that's really, I think, a great place to be, because a lot of my friends who are employed, they'll call in sick because they just don't want to go to work that day. So why would you want a job where you don't want to go to? So number 2, obviously, passion turning into your career is the best thing in the world. You're always going to be happy, and if you're happy and you're giving positive energy into something, it's only going to grow. Number 3 is something to do with my mum. She has worked her ass off for so many years. I mean, since she was, what, 16 or 17. She's still working hard in investment banking. She still has to sit down at an office all day. She still is working from 8 AM in the morning till 6 PM at night. Then you've got like travel either side, and then you think, what is life? Like, why are you going to work Monday to Friday for all of those hours? And most of my friends who work for someone, who work in a company where Monday to Friday 9 till 5 is required, you travel an hour to work, you go to work, you travel an hour home. By the time you get home and you've cooked dinner, maybe you go to the gym if you feel like it, or you rest preparing for the next day. And that, to me personally, is just not a life that I would ever wish to lead. So to be able to have flexibility and work when I want is why I am self-employed. So they're like my 3 main top reasons for being self-employed before I go on to pros and cons. So my pros and cons of being self-employed. We'll go, pros are holidays, no one to answer to, I'm in control of what's going on, I have flexible working hours. Ultimately, all of this brings me happiness and a well-balanced life. Everything that I'm doing is exactly what I want to be doing. Every effort that I put in, every day that goes ahead is something that I want to do. I'm not being forced to do anything that I don't want to do. And there really is no limit of your income if you grow in the right way. Pros within flexible working hours are that my plan was to build something so great that when I have children, I can still be earning money, but also spend all of my time with my children and watch them actually grow up rather than having to get childminders or go around their friend's house because I couldn't pick them up from work. You know, I really want to be there for my kids as much as I can do. So that's why I'm working so hard right now to build something that can just take care of itself whilst I have children. Obviously to spend time with my dog and my nan as well. And then we come to the pros of self-employed. So you don't get paid for holidays. When I was just teaching and I only got paid face-to-face hours, I didn't get paid for holidays, but now I have a passive income. I do get paid for holidays. So not taking holiday pay is kind of a con in the beginning, but if you work your business right, it isn't a factor. Number two, obviously having self-doubt. Am I gonna make enough money this month? Which ties into like financial pressure. With being self-employed, you really don't know what's coming in some industries. Just to make a quick note, I'm obviously talking about the fitness industry and social media industry. Sometimes you don't know what's coming in next month. You don't know what's coming in 3 months time. You might have an amazing month. You might have a really bad month. That's kind of a con to being self-employed and building your business in the beginning, but there are ways that you can structure your business and your finances that will help you feel better about this. A big con is feeling guilt from overworking or underworking. Now I have managed to eliminate that by just knowing that I deserve time off. I don't need to be working 24/7. I don't need to be answering emails or messages or anything as soon as they come in. When I used to do that when I was younger and I was building my business, I thought if I don't get back to them now, then what if they think I'm not gonna get back to them or I'm not professional or something like that. Now I set a time between 7 and 9 a.m. in the morning where I answer my emails. And if an email comes through at 1 p.m. that day, I might not even look at it. Sometimes I do look at them still, but I will not answer until 7 till 9 the next day. You just have to set scheduled working hours, and we as self-employed people really deserve time off. Otherwise you will find yourself working 24/7, because that did happen to me. And then you feel guilty in the beginning for taking time off. And people say to you like, oh, you don't really work, do you? Like, oh, well, just because I don't go to work and get paid an hourly rate by someone else does not mean not working my ass off behind the scenes. Don't ever feel guilty for feeling like you're not working just because you're not at work. A lot of the time I've spent just writing down, implementing ideas, like where I want to go, goal setting, everything that's going to help your business is working for you. That's a con, but you can get around that. Tax bills are quite a con to self-employed, I find, because for me, I pay them in January and July, and sometimes you don't know what it's gonna be. Put this against an employed person, their tax comes out every single month and it's a set amount and it's kind of all done. But with us as self-employed, really, you should be saving a certain amount of your income and putting it aside so that when your tax bills come around, you just go, here you go. Realistically, I don't do that because I'm self-employed and I need the money now. A lot of the time, I just need to get more of a hold on to my tax bills, because then I have like 2 months to pay my tax bill and end up saving. But it's fine, I always work it out. But tax bills, I think, are quite a con of self-employed if you're not on top of it. If you're on top of it, you're fine. Final con for me is admin. There is so much admin. I love doing my admin, so it's fine, but it is very time consuming. And this is when I'm saying, people say, oh, you're not working because you're not at work. Well, actually, I'm sat at home on my laptop for about 5 hours trying to figure this all out myself. If you're in the position in a self-employed company where you can employ a PA or something, this might not apply to you, but everything I've done in my business, I've built myself, and from every single kind of job role, I've done it myself. So that does take up a lot of time. I find it quite fun, but it's just something that you need to account for in your hourly rate. So moving on, 3, organizing finances to eliminate self-doubt. So fortunately, when I started my self-employed business, I was 22 years old. I was still living at my parents' house. I owned the car that I was driving. I did buy most of my food, like, because I was out and about and at work, but I didn't have to pay for any food that I was taking at home. And I was lucky enough for my parents not to be charging me any rent or bills whilst I was building my brand. So taking that into account, obviously I've built my brand in a fortunate position where my expenses were basically my travel to work, my rent to the gym, and I don't know, some food and whatever. Organizing your finances when you're building your business is very key. So I wrote down at the time everything that I needed, the amount of money that I needed to get by, the amount of money that I needed to make every single month, and just made sure no matter what, I was making that. And then obviously it wasn't that hard when I was living at my parents' house, but fast forward a few years, I now own a mortgage, I have a car on finance, I have a dog that I need to feed, I have bills that I need to pay, I have food shopping that I do every week, everything, and I just want to go on holidays and stuff. So now that whole thing has changed, but I still organize my finances and think, right, how much do I need to make this month or monthly to cover my outgoings? And I'll tell you now, I don't care about this kind of thing, but the rent that I was paying to the gym was £400 a month. My mortgage and bills is £800 a month. My car cost me £200 a month. My phone bill cost me £100 a month. The website I use to sell my guides cost me £30 a month. There's like quite a lot of outgoings that I have regarding to my business, and it totals about £1,600 a month that I have to make before I can even take into consideration my food, my playtime. Like, you know, it's then is when things get a little bit tougher, when you actually are paying fully for your life and you have real responsibilities. Doesn't mean it's impossible at all, but what I try to do is make sure that I've always got enough money to be paying 2 more of those amount of bills, like 2 months ahead of me, just to feel safe before I start spending on playtime stuff. I don't always stick to it, but that's always in my mind. Like, I never think, oh, okay, well, next month I've got all of these bills to pay and I don't have the money right now, but I'm still gonna go on holiday. So that's just not something that you can afford to do being self-employed, because you really just don't know what's coming in next month. Number 4, how do you know your worth and start believing it? This for me personally was really quite hard to adjust to in the beginning. I think that leading on from the point before about the financial responsibilities that I have now has made me toughen up in this area, because when I started building my business, I just wanted to be a good person. My whole passion was trying to help people train and be healthy and be fit, because it's all I cared about. And if someone said to me, oh, I can't afford that, but can you do it half price for me? I'd say, yeah, like, that's fine. Like, I'd make exceptions. But it ended up that my rates were meant to be £40 an hour, and basically everyone I was charging was £20 an hour, just because I felt like they needed that. And I could have, like, I was at the time able to take less money because I was still living at my parents' house. But like, think forwards and where my goals want to go. Like, you don't go into a food restaurant and say, oh, like, I want to use your service, but can I have it half price? Like, you don't really say that. So it took me a while, and it was just before I got more financial responsibilities to actually be like, no, every other trainer is charging £40 an hour plus. That is what I'm going to charge. If you want to have a personal trainer, it is a luxury. You can go to the gym on your own. There are so many tools and things for you to be able to know what workout you need to do. There are so many options, and if you are going to a personal trainer, you have got to pay for it, because at the end of the day, this is our life and our business, and this is how we run. So that took me a while to like toughen up, to realize my self-worth, and actually it's quite a hard thing to do, but you can do it. So it's really important to know your self-worth, and at the end of the day, this is your business that you have to make your income from, you have to survive on. So by doing people special deals all the time is not benefiting you. Just by being a good person is not going to benefit your business, and I had to learn that the hard way. So I'm currently talking with a lot of my friends who are currently building their businesses, and they're going through exactly the same things as I did when I was just building mine. Oh, but someone asked me if I could do it for £100 less, or someone asked me this. If they're coming to you to use your services, they should be prepared to pay your prices. And you just have to believe that. And I think that what made me really realize that was how many times I got screwed over by the people that I actually did deals for and tried to support out of my goodwill, and also getting a mortgage and having bills to pay. Like, I was no longer in the position to say no, to say, sure, like, I'll give you 50% off this month or something. Like, I actually couldn't do it. So that made me toughen up. And then I found, after experience with that, people who pay your prices, they value you so much more. They attend all of your classes. They will not cancel on you because they know they're going to lose their session. Like, it actually made so much better for my business by me being just a little bit more cutthroat. Which leads me on to point 5 of being cutthroat. Again, like just discussed, it is hard. It's hard to be that person. I was in this business, or I am in this business because I love it, because I want everybody to experience gymnastics and training and health. But at the end of the day, like, I am only one tiny little person. There are so many people on social media. There are so many places that people can get workouts from. There are so many tips, tricks, YouTubes, everything that people can learn. If they're coming to you for coaching, or if they're coming to you for a service, is because they need it. You need to be harsh on them because this is your business and it's going to help you provide more of a better service. The amount of times that I said to people who cancelled sessions, oh, don't worry about it, we can reschedule, and then that became like multiple times, or sometimes multiple times in a day. So for example, if I had 5 sessions booked in that day at £40 an hour, that's £200 for the day. If 5 of them cancel and you say to reschedule, or they can add it on, then that's £200 you've lost that day. And what about the food that you need to eat? And what about that car that you need to pay for? And what I have learned is that people who cancel and they get their sessions extended, or if they cancel and you just keep rearranging them, they are not committed. They are no good for your business. Obviously, if there is a reason, like their child had to go to the hospital, or, you know, an actual genuine reason, of course, add that session onto the end. But something that a couple of my friends do, which I never implemented into my business and I wish I did now, is if you buy a block of sessions, say 10 sessions, you have 13 weeks to use it. That's more than enough time to use it. It allows a holiday for you, it allows a holiday for them, probably allows a cancellation and a reschedule, but that's that. I still have people who I owe sessions to because I didn't implement that, who bought their sessions 1 year ago. Are they going to ask me to do them or not? I don't know, but technically my rules weren't there and in place, and I should have been more cutthroat there and just said, you've got 10 weeks to use these sessions, and that's it. So being cutthroat is better for you and your business, and it's also better for them because then they're actually going to learn more if you're in a fitness industry. So I said I'd give examples where I've been too nice. Here is one example. So I had 2 clients that were kind of friends of mine. So I gave them the rate of a single person rather than a double person session. So they were paying £40 an hour, buying in blocks of 10s, and it was £400 for 10 sessions. They came into a little bit of financial trouble and they asked me this time, can we just pay £300 for 10 sessions? How do you feel about it? So I said, okay, you know, I loved teaching them. They were great customers. Sure, that's fine. But remember, there's now 2 of them. They're paying £15 each per session. So I went with it that time, and just out of goodwill, and when it came to their next block and their financial position had changed, I just invoiced them £400 back to as normal because they were already getting a discounted rate, and they just kept paying £300. Now, this is difficult because I really like them as people. I really like training them, so I just stuck with it. But imagine that's like five more blocks, £100 less. That's £500 that I've missed out on, that I was definitely worth and definitely could have had from other clients. So every time I invoiced to write £400 on it, I shouldn't have been so nice and I said, hey, it was just that one time, blah, blah, blah. And it's completely my fault that I haven't done that. But just to let you know, like, when people ask for something, if you give them an inch, they take a mile. And that's just that's just how it is. I've also had a couple of people who said that they'd pay me on a certain date, and I said, sure, like that's absolutely fine, I understand. And then you do all the sessions and then you never get the money. So I've given my time. The difference for me is that like I've thoroughly enjoyed my sessions, but then I've never got paid for it. So I just need to not be so nice and be like, I'm really sorry, but if you can't afford to pay until that date, then we're gonna have to start the sessions on that date. Usually this is for like long-term customers, so it's kind of surprising that people will not pay when they've been long-term customers. And I also need to be more cutthroat and say, you know, you owe me money. But I found that very difficult being self-employed. So that's, I guess, another con in self-employed business. Number 7 was accepting my failures and actually being able to turn them and see them now as successes. I remember a couple of years ago, or maybe a couple of years ago, there was quite a big demand for me to do workshops for handstands mainly. So I put out a date and time and organised a lot with a lot of followers who said that they were interested in coming. I organised it with the gym for me to have that studio. I was so excited. I thought I was gonna have like 20 people attend, and it came to it and 0 people attended. And I was gutted because I'd had confirmation from a lot of people. They hadn't paid already, but that was when we was deciding the dates and stuff. And so that was workshop, my first. I think that happened to me twice when I first started to try and do workshops, and it just didn't work out in the beginning. But that's absolutely fine, because a year or so down the line, I filled 2 workshops in New York. And I'm sure if I wanted to host a workshop in London now, it would be sold out within the day or 2. It just, that's how like things happen. I obviously wasn't meant to be teaching a workshop at the time, and that's why it didn't happen. The same thing happened for me for retreats. I've always wanted to run retreats. It is my dream come true. I honestly think since I was like a little girl, I've always been obsessed with traveling, I've always been obsessed with teaching, and I've always been obsessed with gymnastics. I organised a retreat in Bali with one of my best friends who is an amazing trainer, and we priced it so cheap. We just really wanted the retreat to happen. We literally sat down and we made the cost of our flights, of the venue hire. It was quite luxury, and literally what is the least we can make just to make this happen. So we hadn't even priced in any profits for us, and I think it was like 7 or 10 days all inclusive, all less than £1,000 for everyone, and just nobody booked it. And we just tried our very hardest because we just wanted it to happen. It just didn't, you know. But this was a couple of years ago when I was a lot smaller on Instagram, so social media really does help the business. I don't earn money from any brand advertisements or paid social media posts. I just haven't been in that line for some reason. I'm not bothered by it, but Instagram does help me with exposure and selling my guides and selling my retreats now and stuff, so I'm thankful for that. But just in case anyone thinks I earn a lot of money from Instagram, I actually earn 0, so just thought I'd put that out there. But yeah, so obviously fast forward 2 years, I have a bigger following. I put out a Barcelona retreat, and I had a different person involved with also a big following, Gino, as you know, and we sold that out within a month. So just because things don't work the first time or the second time doesn't mean that they're not gonna work. My passion was there and my positivity was there, and it's something I knew was always gonna come true. So just keep going at it. It's very hard not to be disheartened by a failure like that in the beginning. It's also sad when people don't turn up to your sessions that they're going to, or sad when you don't hear from people and they've spent all this time with you organising stuff and then you never hear from them again, and it's like, oh, just take them as losses and move forwards, because you are always going to end up where you're meant to be if you keep going. Helpful business tips. I obviously have an online income now by selling my guides, and I use a web system called PayHip. They take payments via PayPal and Stripe. I get charged for the website. I get use every month. I think it was £30. I tried to up it to £70 because it said that then they'd take less of a percentage, but I don't think that ever worked. So I think I'm paying £30, but I want to be paying 70. But anyway, so I pay that for my website, and then PayPal take 5% of each sale, and Stripe takes a little bit more. Sometimes it's hard because sometimes I have to pay a couple of hundred or something to PayPal every single month to make my guide sales. However, if I wasn't doing that, people wouldn't really be purchasing. So when I originally released my guides, I used to do everything manually because I was just learning at this point. So people would DM me and say, hey, I'm really interested in your guide. And then I'd say, you know, what one would you like? Here's my PayPal, and send the money and I'll send over the email with the PDF document. So they'd often send the money by PayPal. However, a lot of people I've found use a different PayPal address to their actual email address. So I'd see the PayPal address, the email address on PayPal, I'd email their document and I'd think that was done. Or I'd get a DM from them a couple of days later and say, hey, I didn't receive my guide. And I'm like, oh, I sent it to this email address. So it was a lot, and then they were like, oh, sorry, I just didn't use that email address anymore. So there was a lot of like back and forwards for me. Or sign up to PayHip, and that has just made everything so much easier. So if you're trying to sell any digital products online, find a site like PayHip and customers will go there, they'll enter their email address, they'll make the payment and it will send it directly to them. So that is something that I had to learn through my business. It has saved me so much time going back and forwards from emails. Very occasionally I might get someone email me to say, hey, I'm really sorry but I can't download the file, will you help me? Usually it's just been a small problem and I'll just resend the download link and it's sorted. So that 30 or 70 pounds a month is saving me so much time. And also I feel like people feel more trusting in buying something directly from a website rather than me just saying, hey, can you send over £15 for a guide to my PayPal link and I'll get it to you. Sometimes people are like, oh, you know, I don't know if it's a scam, and that's absolutely fair enough for them, but having a website where you can purchase things from just makes it so much more believable for a client and also so much easier to track everything that's going on. Okay, so my second helpful business tip for self-employed people is, in the beginning, have two incomes if you're just building your business. So I would be working at a bar, or I would be coaching for a gymnastics club, or I'd be working on reception. Like whilst I was building everything, I always had a definite income, even though that was only £6 or £7 an hour and I was working my ass off like 40-50 hours a week. That is what I had to do in the beginning to make it work. And now obviously I have two incomes. I have my income from the retreat business, I have my income from the guide sales, and if I wanted to go back to coaching, which I'm not doing at this moment in time, but I will probably take on some one-off clients in the future, I might have an income from that as well. So having multiple incomes will make you feel so much more settled in being self-employed. Number 9 is motivation. So how to stay motivated when you're self-employed. Obviously, if you have a business that you are so passionate about, the motivation to actually get up and go to work shouldn't be too bad. But something that helps me stay motivated is setting working hours. So have set working hours. I'm going to do this for 3 hours. I'm going to do 5 hours contact time if you're teaching. I'm going to do 3 hours of admin time on this day, and actually get a diary and schedule it in like you was at school and you're taking classes. For me, that is what helps me stay motivated, know what I need to be doing, and like stay on track with all of the business side of things. Also, by setting working hours, you're going to avoid burning out. So there's a few times over the years where I've just completely burned out because I've been running left, right, and everywhere. I've been trying to be in 3 places at once. I've been trying to fit 2 people into 1 hour. Like, I've just been doing way too much. I have been thinking this goal, that goal needs to be done, like not prioritizing everything, just trying to keep working to get everything done, actually just burns you out. Not a good idea at all. Take 2 days off if you can, completely, to rest and not think about work. Enjoy holidays. Go on holiday, turn your phone off, and just disconnect from the world. Even if it's for 3 or 4 days, this is gonna help you so much to avoid your burnout. And then you do feel motivated. So it's kind of like you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And when something is gone for 2 days a week, if you don't go to the gym for 2 days a week, or if you don't, like, you're not immersed in it for 2 days a week, then when you come back to it, you're gonna have a fresh head and you're gonna feel more inspired and you're gonna feel more motivated to do it. So do not feel guilty about taking time off because you need it. Celebrate small successes. So in my business, I have celebrated everything from 10 followers on Instagram, 10,000 followers on Instagram, 10 clients a week, everything, every small success, I have celebrated it. Even if it's to myself and I just say, yay, I sold a guide today, or yay, I sold 5 guides this week, or, you know, I always say it out loud and I celebrate it and I say to myself, you know, well done. And then soon all of those small successes become to one huge success. That's really good. Celebrate with yourself, celebrate with your friends, just celebrate every small milestone that you hit in your business, because doing this on your own is amazing. So good for you. Point 10, I've got planning and goal setting. So I usually write out a 1-year goal, a 5-year goal, and a 10-year goal. The 10-year goal is usually so extravagant that, and it might feel so out of reach right now, but like 10 years is a long time and a short time at the same time. Like, it goes by so quickly. I'm in my 5th year of my business now, and I believe when I first set up, my goal was to be, by 5 years, to have a passive income online. So I've achieved that, and to be traveling a lot. So like, they were my 2 main goals that my business was going to aid me. So good for me. I have achieved those goals, and my 10-year goal is, I mean, it's changed now because social media wasn't really a thing when I just started my business, but I really want to move more onto YouTube. As you can see, this is why I'm doing that, and helping the whole world through YouTube, and not just being able to help one person that's in front of me at a time. I probably will still be taking on single clients because I just love it and I enjoy it, but I don't want that to be my main business anymore. I want that to just be my hobby. I've always said that I wanted to be making enough money online that teaching people could become my hobby. There's a lot less pressure in that. And if that is the case, I would probably be teaching for free if I was making a lot of money online. And that's nothing to do with my self-worth. That is literally because then I can say it is my hobby and not work anymore. So planning and goal setting is really important to keep your business alive and to keep you ticking over. And then if you keep your list of goals and you reflect back, I'm really sad because I have a notebook that has all of my goals, my yearly goals in there, which actually got flooded in Miami, and I had to throw it in the bin because otherwise I'd show you that right now. But I think that reflecting on the goals that you've set is amazing. It makes me laugh that I think in my first year, doing my goals and my business, I really wanted 5,000 followers on Instagram. That, to me, that was just amazing. And I think by the first year I had about 8,000. I was like, oh my god, I've got 8,000 followers on Instagram. And it's just funny, like, setting these small tiny little goals just either makes you laugh at them because you like overreach them, or if you haven't achieved your goal, you can kind of set a plan of to what you've learned that year in your business and how you're going to implement that to be successful in achieving that goal when the time is right, or like as soon as possible. Obviously pushing yourself but not burning out. So I hope that I didn't ramble on too much in this video, and I've given you some helpful business tips, and just you can learn a little bit more about me and my experience as a self-employed person. But overall, being self-employed is the best thing that I ever did in a career choice, and I really thoroughly encourage and support people who would also be creative in their own way and work for themselves and live that flexible life that we really can do nowadays, to actually take the steps in doing it. So please give me a thumbs up if you liked this video, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you have any topics you'd like me to discuss, or if you have any questions about this video. And that's all from me, really. I have a right away link in the bio if you want to go shopping for gym clothes. I have my guides link if you want to take a look at my workout guides. I'd really appreciate that. And there's a YouTube 10 discount for 10% off my guides there if you watched and made it to the end of this video. And also there is a PayPal link, as someone has suggested that I put that there for anyone that wants to support me on my YouTube adventure whilst I'm still not earning money. So thank you all for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.